I think anybody who's gonna click into this to listen along, their probably first question is why you're not an MSA. So take people through why you're not racing this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. So I had a crash in Ludenville. Most of you probably saw it, I don't know, but I crashed in this left-hand corner in my berm or in my run. And I I don't know, I was just like all tired, and the night before that I was throwing up all night because I think I ate something weird and it gave me some like food poisoning.
Ooh.
So I was up all night puking. My dad cleaned it up, got like 2 hours of sleep, and then went into like morning practice not feeling terrible, but like pretty smoked because I didn't sleep at all. And I was
Mhm.
like, we'll still run it. And then on the start gate, I was like hearing the beeps, and I was like, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but here we go. And dropped in, and like I actually was feeling really good in the top section. I was like, this is pretty good, and it just came out of nowhere. Like I got knocked out, so I don't remember it really, but
Hmm.
I like went into it and I was telling everybody afterwards. I was like, dude, I just like blinked and it like took too long for my eyes to open. I was already in the ground and they were like, nah, you just got knocked out. I was like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
probably. So so I got knocked out, got back on my bike, and didn't know didn't really feel like anything. Flew back the next day like carrying like 70-pound bags and stuff. And then the next day we got an X-ray and they're like, you can't pick up anything more than 20 pounds because you got a broken back. And I was like, ah, great.
Oh wow. Crazy. Well,
So
did after you fell, was your back obviously hurting, I'm assuming? Like were you like, oh no, something might be worse than I realized in the moment?
in the moment, I didn't feel like really anything. I was more worried about my shoulder because I kind
Mhm.
of landed right on it. And so like I like just made sure it wasn't broken and hopped on my bike and didn't feel a thing in my run. And the crazy thing too was I thought I still maybe had a chance to get on the podium because like usually whenever I crash I try to get up as fast as I can. And so like I was like doing the rest of my race run kind of fast. And then watching the video back, I was like down for 30 seconds. Didn't really felt like I was down for 5 seconds. So it was crazy.
Dang, that is wild. Yeah, I mean, watching it, I was like, oh man, he just ate it like pretty hard. Like you came to a stop really quick, and that was my
Yeah.
first thought was hopefully it's not a collarbone. And then when you got up and your arms were okay, I'm like, all right, like somehow he managed that all right. So it's not surprising to hear it was worse than it looked, or
Yeah.
worse than you made it seem in like post race interviews, because it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess Nico said earlier because I've had like I crashed almost every single race this year, and I've had to like have KT tape and ibuprofen every race run. And it turns out from like Val to Sol, I have a fractured collarbone, and then from world champs, I fractured this collarbone. So I was racing on two fractured collarbones. And he's like, luckily we don't get more x-rays of you or we'd be out for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Nico would have to go chase down a KT tape and ibuprofen sponsorship.
Dude, for sure. I've gotten the formula down. Two ibuprofens and a Tylenol will get you perfect.
Yeah, they'll get you some World Cup wins. That's all you need. One
So
world champs title.
dude, world champs, two fractured collarbones, but yeah.
Dang. That's crazy to hear about. I mean, skipping ahead a little bit to some questions I had because I wanted to just hear, looking back on your year, highs and lows and things that stand out. But I was going through Roots and Rain, kind of refreshing myself on how your year's gone. And it it seemed in my mind, I was like, dude, Asa had such a crazy first year. He like won a bunch of World Cups, like was really fast at like a lot of splits compared to elites. But then it was mixed in with quite a few crashes. And like, I don't know, when you look back on that, is it something that you think is just building that speed and figuring out how to apply it? Or were some of them just fluke crashes that, it happens when you're trying to go fast?
I think like my first two races, well, Fort William and Poland were like perfect. I wasn't like too worried about it because I was like, I was stoked to be there. So my first race, I was like, you just gotta have fun. Worked perfect. Got my first World Cup win. Had like a great weekend. And then Poland was the same thing. I wasn't too nervous. I was like, you did it last weekend. Like you can probably do it again. So
Mhm.
just had a good run. And then I think in the third race, I don't even know what was the third race. Uh,
Is that Leo gang?
Leo gang, yeah, Leo gang.
Mhm.
It started getting in my head a little bit. Like, might have to start doing. I don't know. I was like, you got to start doing like more consistently, maybe not pushing as hard, think about the overall a little bit. And then I ended up crashing. I had a really good weekend leading up to it, but crashed that weekend, I think. But then also, like, so I crashed in like the first stump section, and then in
Mhm.
the woods, I was like, I thought I saw a red cross flag, but it was like a person's beer flag. So I definitely learned a lot from that race, which is not terrible, but not
Yeah.
the best. But I think most of the crashes I had were I could definitely have avoided, and I thought I was like going to avoid them. But the one in the one in Ludenville was like, I don't even know, just like kind of a freak thing. I kind of put my like both my shoulders are broken, and I put my front wheel into a hole, and I just couldn't hold up. So, um, I think maybe I'm definitely learning what my limits are.
Yeah.
Like what when I need to push, when I could like chill. Like that race run, I probably could have had a chill run, like podium or like top five, and I just like thinking back on it. So definitely learning a bunch for next year. I'm
Mhm.
definitely stoked on how the season went though. To do I'm for world champs is like the best one.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Well, rewind just a little bit. You're coming into your first year, and the last few seasons you had before that, you were super fast, and there was a lot of talk, hype, whatever you want to call it, about you coming into your first World Cup season, and then you get hurt, and you come into Fort William like